Why the BNI program? All of you are currently in the process of finishing your degrees at the college level, your DEC, which is the 100 AO program, or you've graduated in the past 3 years and have decided to join us to continue the next part of the integrated program, because the DEC back is an integrated course of study, 3 years at the college, 2 years at university. And what you're coming to the ISON for is for the critical competencies at the undergraduate level. So what that means is you will be exposed to critical care, research, community and public health nursing, leaderships of policy and leadership competencies, patient safety, nurse prescription for wound care and common health problems and public health, and telepractice. So these are all of the areas that we will fundamentally be focusing on. And our program has been revised in 2018 in a sense that everything that we do in the 2-year or 3-year program, depending if you're full-time or part-time, will essentially be aligned, integrated, and contextualized so that you are able to be introduced, review, apply, and consolidate these competencies that are an expectation for an undergraduate prepared nurse in Quebec. Where we are with respect to the online, it's a 4-year timeline from the moment that we began this process of development in September 2019, and where we find ourselves today with the launch of the cohort in 2021, which will be you in September. The first cohort is 75 students with a successive build to our full capacity in September 2023. So all this to say that the undergraduate program, BNI program, will be the biggest program at the Ingram School of Nursing, so that by 2023, we will have 285 students coming in to our programs. We're very excited about the launch. What does it mean and what is the BNI online program? As I said, it's an integrated program of study, be it for on campus or online. The distinction is that it's not two different programs. They are mirrors of each other, and they are offered in 2 modalities, on campus and online. McGill University is proud and excited to be the first fully online program that is offered at the bachelor level, but also it is the first of its kind in the province of Quebec for nursing. There are other continuing nursing education courses that might be given in other universities in Quebec, but they are not an academic program, as is this BNI online modality. The BNI program is a successful program in the province of Quebec. It has been in existence since 2004, and we are building on the successes and the strengths of this program in preparing nurses for the rigors and the demands and the complexity of clinical practice in the 21st century in Quebec and in Canada. This program is French compatible, which means that it is not a bilingual program, whereby if you do not know how to speak French, this would be a way for you to learn to speak French. It is an opportunity for those whose English is not the first language to be able to engage with this program and become comfortable as they go through this course of study. And when possible, all materials that are available will be made available in French to enhance and support the students in the acquisition of competencies for English in our program. And the BNI program online has been a partnership from the Ingram School of Nursing and Teaching and Learning Services at McGill University. So Maggie will speak a little bit more in terms of the expertise that we have been depending on and working with in these past years. I spoke about the BNI program being an integrated program. So you have your 3-year program, which you're finishing or have graduated from recently. and at the 2-year level with us, where you will be exposed to further competencies that are required for practice at an undergraduate level to be able to have the title of nurse clinician in the organizations that you work in. But also think about an undergraduate preparation as a bridge to advanced nursing practice, if you so choose and desire to continue your educational journey. Namely, if you want to become a nurse practitioner, if you are interested in leadership and administrative and management roles, if you are interested in education and teaching and becoming an expert nurse instructor, or if you are interested in research, this is the building block and the essential milestone that you need to have in order to move on to graduate and postgraduate education. I will leave it to Oksana to take the next slides.
Thank you, Annie. So this program, BNI Integrated, meaning that the program integrates your DEC education and adds on to it. So we're scaffolding some courses and information and additional competencies to what you have learned during your 3 years of DEC. The program itself is 65 credits. Those credits are fairly evenly spread over 2 years full-time. And what is important to know is that those 2 years full-time are actually 5 semesters. So you have 2 semesters in the first year, fall and winter, and you also have a summer semester, which is your critical care clinical placement. This is important to keep in mind for anybody who's joining us at McGill for future planning purposes, because the clinical is fairly intensive and you have to keep in mind that you do have that 1 extra semester to complete. We also have a part-time option, same for BNI online and on campus modality, where you can complete your 65 credits over 7 semesters instead. So that's about a 3-year program. Our students who graduate gain professional skills and competencies, and the focus, just like Annie mentioned before, is really to advance your competencies in leadership and policy. Wound care prescription is part of it as well. Public and community health and critical care are some of the foci of this program. We do also talk a lot about interprofessional education and career advancement opportunities. How do you personally advance your career? What are the ways to do that? And what are the competencies that you need to acquire to do so? Next slide. Okay, so the format of the program on campus and online are just 2 different modalities. That we keep saying that, but we want it to be very clear that the program itself is one. And Annie and I work very closely together to make sure that it happens in synchronicity between the 2 modalities. So on campus, if you do choose to go on campus, the program is offered in person. Obviously, there's a bit of a pandemic disclaimer. Some things may be offered synchronously, remotely. So this is something that will be announced to those students who are registered on campus. Admission 180.80 DEC is the program that you're coming from your CJEPs, and the admission requirements are the same for both modalities. The duration is the same for both modalities, so either a 2-year or a 3-year program, depending on whether you decide to do it part-time or full-time. Courses are exactly the same. The content of the courses is exactly the same. On campus, it's a 13-week course for each of the classes that you sign up for. So we follow the McGill regulations for each of the semesters, and the summer semester for your critical care clinical placement is a little bit shorter. For the, I'll let Annie speak about the format of those courses for BNI online. But for midterms and exams, there are midterms during the course schedule, and students are expected to be present in person for on-campus modalities. And the final exams are also expected to be done in person. So there are a couple of differences in terms of how courses are delivered, and I'll let Annie speak about it for the online modality.
So thank you, Oksana. What's very important in terms of the fundamental similarities is that the online and on campus follow the same academic calendar. So it's a semester is 13 weeks. Where online is a little bit different is that it is organized according to modules. Depending on the courses, it will be up to 10 modules that the student will have the 13 weeks to complete. This provides you with the flexibility. In the online modules, there will be asynchronous components, and there will be synchronous components that will be mandatory depending on the courses. All of this information will be provided to you the moment that we start the semester so that you're able to plan in advance. When we say synchronous mandatory components, we're not saying that there will be 42 million sessions that you will have to move in, that you will have to tune into synchronously. There might be between 1 and 5 per courses, and these will include the times where there's sessions with your classmates, with the course coordinator for evaluation and assessments in the context of your midterms and the final exams. So expect in the online that there will be at least 5 instances minimally where you will have to make yourself available synchronously. And we will make that information always available at the start of the course so that you have ample time to organize yourselves. Online and on campus, in terms of the requirements, the interface of engagement and study time for a student. A 3-credit course, be it online or on campus, is the equivalent of 39 hours of interface class time, be it with your module in the online or in person in class. And there's an expectation to succeed that for every hour that you are expected to be in class or in a module, there's a corresponding 3-hour of study time that a student has to put in. So for the course of a semester, if you're taking a full-time load, which is 16 credits, the equivalent of 5 courses, be on campus or online, this is 45 hours of study time and class time per week. This is a full-time commitment, be it on campus and online, and this is true for all of our programs. So I want you to think carefully in terms of your planning, be it on campus and online, because there's no formula for success if you are studying full-time and you are working full-time, or if you are working full-time and want to study part-time or full-time. There is really some fundamental aspects that you need to have to relook at, because this is a rigorous and demanding program, and working full-time is never a formula for success, regardless of if you're doing it online or on campus, and regardless if you're wishing to study full-time and part-time. So I want you to think about this very clearly. And it might be that on the online modality, you think, well, I can work full-time and study full-time. There's no formula for success. And Oksana, myself, and Maggie, and Joseph, and Carrie have probably 100 years of experience between all of our respective careers to tell you that we don't see that that's ever a formula for success. So that's really important before you interface in any modality that you're going to be looking at. I'll move on to the next slide in terms of, and I'll give it back to Oksana in terms of explaining the components of our curriculum for online and on campus.
Thank you. We have a number of course types at the School of Nursing. The first type is naturally the theory courses. The majority of them are allied and nursing sciences courses, for example, pharmacology for nursing. So these courses for the on-campus modality are given in a large classroom in person, and generally those courses are shared between students in the Bachelor of Nursing Integrated program and the Bachelor of Nursing students who are coming directly from high school. So these courses usually include about 39 hours of instruction time and 117 hours of student time per course. They include individual and group work. So even if you are on campus in a large classroom, you will find yourselves working in a group. And all of those courses have midterm and final exams. Do you want me to speak about the online right away, Annie, or? Okay, so for the online format, these courses may take two, I guess, shapes. There will be asynchronous and synchronous components, just like Annie was mentioning. What does that mean? That means that for asynchronous components, you're working on your own. You may be required to do some readings or to do some work or, you know, do a presentation or record yourself. That really depends on the course and the instructor. And a synchronous component means that the entire class comes together for either discussion or an instructional material presented to you by the course instructor. So for synchronous components, attendance is mandatory, but as Annie mentioned, it's not going to be every week. This is going to be something that is very clearly identified to you by the course instructor at the very beginning of the semester. In terms of hours of class time and hours of student work time, the hours are exactly the same because we are yet still in the same program. Midterm exams and final exams are done online for the online modality, so you do not need to be on campus for those. The second type of classes that we have are clinical, laboratory, and simulation courses. So you have 3 and 4 credit courses that are labs and clinicals. So for the on-campus modality, naturally, all of those happen in person. So students will come upstairs to our building, to the 20th floor, to the Satoko Shibata nursing laboratories. And this is where you will upgrade or learn new skills or, you know, revise the skills that you have. We also have clinical courses where on campus you will be attending one of the clinical sites that is linked with McGill. So for example, the Jewish General Hospital, Montreal General, so the entire MUHC network of hospitals, including the Glen site. So the 2 clinical courses that you will have to attend are Nursing 434, which is a critical care course, and Nursing 431, which is a community placement. Nursing 432 is a community-based organization project, which is considered a clinical course. And during this course, you will go out into community settings, into organizations that work closely with the communities, and you will develop your own intervention project that will be not only developed by you, but also implemented by you in person. So that is for on-campus modality. The course hours for clinicals are about 156 hours, which is 2 days per week-ish. I have to put a disclaimer beside Nursing 434 that clinical is given in the summer, so that rotation is a bit more intensive. It's not 2 days per week. You usually end up doing about 4 days a week, but it is shorter. For the online modality, laboratories are all remote. There are some simulations. If a simulation happens in the online modality, a similar simulation will happen in the on-campus modality as well. Skills are online and virtual, and you will see how all that works once you start taking those courses. The hours for clinical courses are exactly the same, so you will still have to complete 156 hours. Your placements will be a little bit different depending on where you live on your geographical area. You might still be placed with the McGill network because these are our closest partners and we do have a very good working relationship with them and we can always negotiate those placements. So for clinical courses, hours will be very similar. Placements will be very similar, but you know, if you live in a very remote geographical area, there is a possibility of negotiating different placements. Nursing 432, which is your community-based organization project, will take place over 8 to 10 weeks. So the time scale is just a little bit smaller. It happens in the winter and some of that might be done remotely depending on which organization you are paired up with. And, you know, not every organization has the capacity to do remote projects, so it will really be taken on a case-by-case basis. So the time is a little bit shorter, but the number of hours that you will spend working on the project is about the same. For our last component, our last course type, that's the inquiry-based nursing course. So this might be something new to you, and some of you know it as problem-based learning or approche par problème. These are 4-credit courses. You have 2 of those in your curriculum. One of them focuses on palliative care and chronic health issues, and one of them focuses on critical care. These courses, again, the content is identical for both modalities. For the in-person modality, you know, this course takes place over 13 weeks and it's about 52 hours of class time. And what this course includes is instruction by the course coordinator and facilitators, but this instruction is in a way hands-off because the facilitators and coordinators, their job is to help you ask questions and help you find answers rather than teach you from a podium. So the idea of these courses is to help you develop your own critical thinking and help you ask questions that will allow you to arrive at an evidence-based answer. So for both of those courses, you do individual and group work. There are midterms and there are final exams. For some of them, yes, for some of them, no. It really depends on the course that you're taking. For the online format of these courses, you will have synchronous and asynchronous activities, and the attendance for synchronous activities for these courses will be crucial to your success in this course because it is heavily based on discussion. It is based on group work where you prompt each other and where you work together to develop and ask answerable questions and questions that will allow you to treat your patient. And that treatment would be based on evidence-based practice. So we really work with your critical thinking. We work on your use of resources in this course, and we also work on your research competencies. Midterm and final exams, if there are any, they will be done remotely, so you do not need to be present there. But as I said, synchronous activities are there for these courses, and they are very important to attend. Did I miss anything, Annie?
No, I think that's you've covered it in a nutshell. This is essentially what we're talking about in terms of when we're structuring our plan for online assessment and activities to keep you engaged and to keep you interfacing in a meaningful way with the content of the courses, but also keeping in mind that we do this exercise for the on-campus as well. But in an online environment based on a modular fashion, you can see that there are many types of activities such as readings, the video lectures, the discussions, the reflections, quizzes and final exams, and small group cases. So this is an example of a mapping theoretically or hypothetically for a course, whereby we're mapping all of the activities that will be happening in the course of the semester across the 10 modules. And we're looking at it from a perspective of keeping it balanced. So when we're looking at small group casework, when we're looking at quizzes and so on, we're looking at it per course, but we're also looking at it in the context of all your courses per semester, per academic year. So there's balance. And there's also, we're looking at, where there are potential bottlenecks of, many assignments happening potentially at the same type of intervals. So this is a careful mapping that's done for on campus and online, but this is more how we're looking at it from the online building perspective. And I will pass the baton to my colleague Maggie Latuka, who will speak about what it means to make a choice to study in an online modality. Take it away, Maggie.
Thank you, Annie. So I'm listening to all of this, and I, even though I work with these fine ladies who are so dedicated to their work on a daily basis, I'm always in awe of how much energy, thought, and planning goes into their teaching. I can attest to more so, I can attest to it in the online learning environment. The online, where my team works with the nurses is we bring in a different expertise. So they have the expertise of the nursing, of course, and our expertise is in online pedagogy. How do students learn best online? And how can we engage students online? How can they show they have learned? How can they demonstrate those skills? And how can they themselves feel confident that they are learning and growing with what's being provided to them? So our role is twofold. First, we design the learning environment. This is for those of you who, of course, have been in CEGEP, you know there's always a learning environment now. I mean, probably most of you in Quebec use something like Moodle. We have a different environment at McGill, which we have further customized for the Be Online program. Why? Because we want to support your learning needs and we want to ensure you are a successful online learner. So much more time has been given to design a place that is easy to follow, to contribute, to practice, and to submit your assignments both individually and in group. And we're being completely transparent here with you today. Annie went into the workload. The workload is there. We cannot say it isn't. There is a misconception that doing things online is easier, is faster. I can work online, I can work full time and do it online because I'm going to do it in the evening or I'm going to do it in the morning, depending on your shift. It is a misconception in our case. There are programs perhaps somewhere that you can do. Not in nursing, I would think. When you're learning online, you need to take much more ownership of your learning. You need to schedule quiet time every week for every course. And the amount of hours that Annie mentioned, 39 hours, is a real amount of time. We like to say as instructional designers, it's somewhere between 3 to 5 hours per week per course. 3 to 5 because we don't all learn in the same ways. Some of us do better with lectures, others do better with reading. So when you factor all that in there, we have different learning times. You need to ensure that you are giving yourself that much time. You need to ensure that you do the work at the pace that we are requesting that you do the work. You can't catch up. You can't take a heavy shift and then say, I'll catch up in week 3 and I'll do the 3 weeks. It'll be that much harder because in an online environment, you are required to contribute to the learning process, to activities, to work with your peers and exchange with your instructor in a way that I can say that is not always the case on campus. So you have to be ready to dedicate to the time that you need. Now, I see that the next slides come up, community of inquiry. This is the foundation that the courses are built with. It means that each course has elements that touch on social presence, cognitive presence, and teaching presence. You will be required to exchange with your peers and with your instructors in a very social type of learning, because social learning is very important to the whole learning process. You will not be learning in isolation, just you and your computer. Cognitive presence, clearly that I think is clear. We're going to take you from the nursing expertise that you already have to the next level. And then teaching presence is also very important here, because in an online environment, it's often unclear, how often do I see my instructor? Well, your instructor will be there throughout the 10 modules and the 13 weeks. Your instructor will engage with you individually, as a group, in writing, online, in an asynchronous modality, as well as synchronous. As we said, there are both modalities in some courses. All three components, studies show, make a solid learning experience. One without the other does not work well. It turns out we learn in isolation, and we cannot learn in isolation because we don't live in isolation. We don't work in isolation. Next slide, please, Annie. So put all of that together. What this means is that you are provided with a course that is not self-paced. This is a course that is 10 modules over 13 weeks. We pre-established a timeline for you. We highly suggest you follow that timeline. Where you have input is you can self-pace yourself within a module, within the deadline, but you can't self-pace throughout the 10 weeks or well, I should say 13 weeks, 10 modules. It is all done so that you have access to a learning that you might not otherwise have if you are working or you are not close to a university that offers this program, but you are not completely left up to your own self-pace. You must deliver and must follow components of the program according to the schedule set up for you. And finally, some of the things you will be coming across in these courses were already mentioned: readings, pre-recorded lectures, synchronous lectures like this here on the screen, and like this is that we're doing here today. There are case studies, there's group projects, there's reflections, and there's all kinds of knowledge check activities. These knowledge check activities are everything from a self-assessment quiz to a computer simulation that you practice with. These are all elements so that you can practice and you can check yourself to say, yeah, I'm on target, I'm ready for the next module, I got it. Or if you didn't, you can go back, review, take it again. So this is part of the ownership of learning that I'm talking about. You need to stay on top of the material as you go through it. And here's actually the slide on a computer simulation that you may be doing, not necessarily for marks even, but just as I said, to practice. So I think I have a habit of going on long when I talk about these things, and I'm going to leave the time to your questions because I'm sure there's going to be some.